We now go to the video lecture for chapter 7, which is the conversion cycle. Okay. So as I mentioned to you and as posted, so not all of the topics are included. So we just focus on the basic principles and the recent controls on the conversion cycle and some of the important key concepts or advanced concepts. Same procedure, so we focus on the traditional process, the flows, the records through the flow charts, the accounting records, and then we will discuss introduction or a key, the intro on the lean manufacturing, okay? And but we will not be discussing other topics such as the details of the world-class environment and the traditional accounting, the activity base, and then we'll just focus on some very relevant concepts about the last bullet point, lean manufacturing and world-class companies. So for the traditional manufacturing environment, so as I highlighted here, so you can easily understand the first and third bullet point. Okay, so the conversion cycle actually is the middle process. Okay, so there is purchase, expenditure, and then production or produce, in which conversion cycle is relevant in this year. So MRP, so I highlighted this one because this is a technical term used in production, materials requirements planning, the focus of which determining the raw materials uh, needed to produce the finished goods. Okay? Um, this diagram is very much important because this shows you the role of the conversion cycle, okay, in the middle. We focus first on these two items. So what triggers the conversion cycle? Okay? As explained by our author, in which we will follow his logic. So um, it can be triggered by two items. First is the marketing system. So this is the traditional one. So the marketing will forecast the sale based on the forecasted demand, and uh, they will set a target production, and that's why it will initiate the conversion process. Okay? Or a much modern approach in production is that if there are already actual orders, then the company will produce them. In which case, it is quite related with the concept of just in time. So these two, either the forecasting of sales or the actual sales order, will trigger the conversion cycle. Next is the involvement of the expenditure cycle. For PR, so we have here the general expenditure cycle for goods. And for the labor usage, that is for the payroll. That's why it is related with the expenditure cycle. So this is the part 1 and part 2 of expenditure cycle. As you can see, the output of the conversion cycle is the recording of information of work in uh, work in process and finished goods information. Okay. If you will notice, why is it that there is no raw materials? Basically, raw materials information are recorded by the expenditure cycle in the purchase of goods. For the narrative procedures of the batch processing for conversion cycle, so these are the documents. So the production schedule is the primary authorization document. So I highlighted the two others, the BOM and work order, but we'll discuss fastly the others. Okay? Or we'll discuss quickly. For the BOM, in layman's term, it's the recipe for the finished product. For example, in GBI, our finished product is a bike. So what are the spare parts of our bike? So we have the wheels, the rod, the chain, the body. So that's the BOM. Route sheet, so as the name implies, so it will give you an idea on the sequence of the uh, production. As for the work order, this is actually it's quite similar with the job order, okay, in the service department. So it is a production order also. So this initiates the production process. So without this work order, the production will not start. Then the move ticket, so as the name implies, so a move ticket is required so that we can move from one task to the other or one workplace to the other. We call that the work center. And for the materials requisition, so this is the document which authorizes the release of raw materials from the store to the production for use. Okay, so for the DFD of the batch production process, again, we can focus on the processes. Okay, so first, you can see here the planning activities, in which the input information will come from the marketing, the sales forecast, or the sales order processing system, the revenue system for the actual sales order. Inputs also to the planning are the BOM, the the recipe of the specific finished good, and the route sheet. Okay, the sequence or the direction. Okay. Then after that will be the actual production here, performed by the production department, or we call that the work center. Okay. After that, so information from the production information will go to the HR, which is the information on the uh, HR process or payroll procedure, which is the time cards. And then information will go to the cost accounting here through the job tickets for the WIP. Okay. And then, so inventory, uh, recording of inventory. As you can see here, you will record the raw materials inventory and the finished goods. For the finished goods, of course, that's the output. But for raw materials, you can see later that at times, either you have an excess raw material or short raw material. So specifically for excess raw materials, you need to return that back to the inventory. So there are updating of inventories, raw material inventories involved. Okay. And then last year is the cost accounting activities, in which the WIP, updating of the WIP is done. Okay. Then all of the activities for posting will enter the GL system here. This is an example of the production schedule. So as I've mentioned to you, this is the authorization document. So you cannot formally start a production, a series of activities without this one. So it's the equivalent of I ask my students in the face-to-face discussion, for example, in when they do activities, what document authorizes the activity that it can be done, it can be started, or it can be meaning you can conduct the activity. It's the SecGen form or the form from the SecGen. If you already have that, then you can conduct the activity. Same goes with this one. So key feature or key information on this one is you can see here the batch. So the number of activities, okay, in the production, so that you can see the details. You can also here the start time and the completion time. Next document is the BOM or the bill of the materials. You can see here, I'm not familiar, but if you can, probably this is a vehicle, right? Because there are pistons and crankshaft. So you can see here the raw materials needed, okay, to create one finished good. For the route sheet, of course, this will show the sequence. So as you can see here, okay, you can see here the work centers, okay, where work centers or the units, the actual areas in the production where the tasks will be conducted and the processes involved, so including the estimated time, okay, per unit. Okay. The next is your work order. Okay, your work order, as you can see, it's quite similar with your route sheet, specifically this type of information, except for the description. Okay, but a key important difference with the work order is that you can see here the actual processing time, okay, and the units and scrap. Because the work order, as I mentioned, it's one work order per batch. So the first work order initiates the or triggers the whole process, and then the work order is a working file. Okay, So before you start, the portion here in the actual details will be blank. But as each task or processes in the work order is performed, so information here are updated until the work order is completed. So if one work is completed in a certain area work center, so an authorization document to transfer to the next work center or area is the move ticket. As you can see here, okay, from the current work center, having this move ticket, you can now move to the next work center, which is work center 153. Okay. For this form, so materials acquisition, excess materials acquisition, and materials return ticket, these are actually related. So this form assumes that we use standard costing. So meaning when we request for raw materials, there's a standard quantity. For example, if we are producing, like in SAP, we are GBI, Global Biking, we're producing bikes. So, for example, the standard number of chains that uh, the standard number of chains that can be requisitioned per batch is 100, so 100 units. So, using the materials requisition form, so you will request for the chain, so you will be given 100 units. However, what if there is a high demand for that specific period and you need 120 chains? So using the materials acquisition form, you can get 100 chains to get the additional, the excess. So you will be using the excess materials requisition. Okay. Actually, the excess materials acquisition is also a form of control because it's possible that the company using the 100 standard units, they have a lot of uh, errors or waste or scrap. Then they utilize the excess materials acquisition to 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 ask for more raw materials, and then it will show that they are not cost efficient. So it's also a form of control. On the other hand, what if, for example, the production is based on sales orders, and the initial sales orders were reduced because for whatever reason the customer reduced its initial order. So the standard change that can be requisition is 100, but you only need 80. So there we have a spare of, or we have an excess of, uh, or for example, we only need 70. So just to differentiate the example on the additional materials needed. Okay, for example, so we have an excess of 30 materials because the standard is 100, we only need 70. So we can return the excess 30 materials using this materials return ticket. Okay, in which the entry, if there is an entry that will reduce the raw materials by 30, so through this materials return ticket, the 30 materials should be returned back, okay, to raw materials.